This is the Iowa Weather Report for Tuesday, February 18th, 2014. Now our first look at the 0Z GFS model run. This is at noon today. We have a couple of pieces of energy, one moving across the eastern Great Lakes into New England, another diving into the plains, and that doesn't have that much moisture with it. Another one coming into the Pacific Northwest. We have two storms of note, one over the eastern part of the country that produced the snow and a little bit of icing across the state yesterday, one moving into the northwest, and a little bit of precipitation, a few flurries in the Dakotas or so. The storm over the east kind of moves off into the Atlantic. It's actually over the Canadian Maritimes. The one over in Canada will move into the Great Lakes here on Wednesday. New storm moves into the western part of the country. It begins to build or develop a surface low that'll start to move northeast. The Gulf will open up. That could bring some rain, sleet, snow, freezing rain, even thunderstorms. We could see some severe weather down in the middle and lower Mississippi River Valley. That low occludes rapidly and moves up north of the Great Lakes here on Friday. But this is going to bring the cold air back. Highs will be back down into the 20s to low 30s. And then going around this system, another disturbance could come through late Friday night into Saturday that could kick off a few snow showers or so. Otherwise, fairly inactive across the country. Maybe some rain in the southeast, a little bit of rain, mountain snow in the northwest. And that rain and mountain snow in the northwest, mainly snow, begins to ease into the state again here on Sunday, especially in our southern and southwestern counties as high pressure kind of noses in from Canada. And that's what's going to pretty much keep a lot of that snow mainly to our west, as a lot of dry air is going to come in. It's going to be cold, highs in the 20s to maybe around 30, lows maybe in the upper single digits and teens. But then finally here next Tuesday, well, this is something you don't want to see, the flow coming straight out of the North Pole again, as a ridge is pumping up over the western part of the country into Canada and even in Alaska. That's just going to dump the cold air from the poles. Luckily, it's not the middle of January, or we'd be talking below zero. It's now the latter half of February, so it's not going to be as brutal. But we could still see around here maybe a little bit of snow activity. But you can see as we go into the extended period, this is the 1st of March. We have some energy moving across the Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle. That could sweep north and eastward as the flow is kind of a bit split north and south. And that might create a storm to our south that could bring some rain, maybe a little bit of snow in maybe Kansas and even extending into the Great Lakes, but nothing around here because of mainly dry air, if this is to be right. At the end of the forecast on March the 5th, we have pretty much a somewhat active pattern. Few pieces of energy off the northeast coast, over the Ohio River Valley, the plains, in the northern Rockies. We have one storm lifting out off the northeast coast into the Canadian Maritimes. We have a little bit of a system to our northwest that could bring some snow across the northern plains, so it looks like it's going to be cold and maybe somewhat active. Satellite image from last evening, it did look a little more active. The storm that brought us the snow and ice and gunk from yesterday, now off to our east across the Great Lakes. That will move into the New England states, and some clouds off to our west. And that has some watches and warnings up here in the northern Rockies. This is the watch warning maps and winter weather advisories about to expire across the Great Lakes into the north and east. Some fog issues across the south and Gulf Coast. QPF chart precipitation over the next 5 days through Saturday evening at 6 o'clock, showing precipitation around here could be quite significant, maybe from about 1/4 of an inch in the northwestern counties to maybe up to or over 1 inch in our southeastern counties.